Hello and welcome to today's Essential Words. My name is Isolde Trachtenberg and I'm thrilled you're here. Here's where we're continuing to do the deep dive into the concept of ikigai. It's a Japanese concept that looks at determining your life purpose. And if you've been following along and watching the episodes up to now, you know that we have done 3 of the quadrants, right? And I'm going to show you, I have a little visual aid today. This is the concept of ikigai. What we've covered so far is what you love, what you're good at, what you can get paid for, and today we're going to focus on what the world needs. And here's the thing about what the world needs. You need to look at it from the perspective of what they need. Not so much what you want to give them, if you see what I mean, but what they need. So as part of the list, I want you to go ahead and start a new page. If you've been following along, go ahead and start a new page for this quadrant. And if you haven't, I suggest you go back and find the episodes Ikigai, Ikigai, what you love, Ikigai, what you're good at, and also what you can get paid for, and do them in order, because this whole thing is sort of a step-by-step deep dive process into finding, determining, a little bit more scientifically, if you will, your life purpose, what it is that you are meant to do. So, in the concept of, here we go, what you need. No, what the world needs, not what you need. Exactly, that's exactly what I mean. See, this is why this show is entirely raw, real, and unedited. You get all my flubs as well. So, when we talk about what the world needs, we're talking specifically about not so much what you want to give them, but what they need. And you have to make this list as objectively as possible. And it has nothing to do with your skill set. It has nothing to do with what you would like to bring. Rather, it is a sort of a cold, hard look at what the needs are of the people and the environment around you. So if I were to make my list, I would say the world needs clean air and clean water. The world needs biodiversity, as far as lots of different kinds of critters living all over the world, because we're part of a big, huge chain, if you will, so we're all interdependent. The world needs trees, because without trees we can't breathe. And if we're going to look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, then yes, food, shelter, sex, clothing, all of that, those are specific needs. Now, those are individual needs, but they're also societal needs. We need to make sure people have homes. We need to make sure we have clean air and clean water. But then if you look at from a perspective of individual people, what do individual people need? They might need more time. They might need better health. They might need more money. It's possible. They might need love in their lives. They might need friendship. They might need art. What are the things that you think the world needs? Not so much, again, what you want to give them, but what they need. What are people expressing a need for? Certainly, I think we need a way of connecting to others. We need to be able to feel like we are with people who care about us, that we belong to something greater than ourselves, perhaps. That we have art and music and literature and movies to sustain us, to build our spirits, to teach us, to educate us. So I think those are actually specifically great needs, in part because I believe, quite frankly, that many of us in the world are walking around distraught and unhappy. And because we're walking around that way, that feeling of quiet desperation, and sometimes not so quiet desperation, obviously, I think it eventually overflows and it gunks up the works for other people, right? You may lash out at someone, you may give them the finger if you're feeling road ragey because their driving made you crazy, down to all the extremes of some of the atrocities happening in the world today, and I'm not going to list them because if you're at all reading the news or watching the news, you know what's going on. But at the same time, I can't help thinking that if we provide a manner, a pathway to greater happiness, greater self-awareness, it's going to make a difference in the way we treat one another and in the way the world works, if you will. So one of my great missions in life really is to help the world find a method out of that unhappiness, if you will. Because the more we can do that, the more we can focus on abundance and focus on happiness and focus on gratitude and focus on what we have, not what we want, if you will. That will make everything better. So that's one of the things that I think the world needs. And what I do then is try to operate within that framework. And you may find that in your perspective, and again, it's about your perspective about what the world needs, so you have to be objective as much as possible, but it ends up being about your perspective regardless, because we can't help that, right? But if you're going to look at what the world needs and you feel that the world needs more time, let's say everyone needs shorter work weeks, or less time spent in school, more time spent playing outside, or let's see, they need more money. Why? So that they have more resources to have greater vacations or even more things. Nothing wrong with material things. Whatever it is that you feel is necessary is the way to go, right? So you have to make that list and check it twice and figure out for yourself exactly what you believe the world needs. Then, starting tomorrow, we start combining these. So we're going to look at the combination. If you look at my little handy dandy list again, what you love at the top here is great, and what the world needs is here, and between them is the mission, right? So tomorrow what we're going to do is we're going to look at what it means to have the what you love and what the world needs, or what you're good at, whichever way I decide to go with that. Tomorrow, we're going to look at how to start combining them and synthesizing, funneling down into the exact set of parameters that are your life path. We're going to do that tomorrow. It's going to start with one of the quadrants melding with another, and then we're going to move it into the other quadrants. And eventually we're going to go through all of them and combine them, and then look at what happens when you're feeling some but not all. And then you will, out of that, if you've been following along, you should have funneled down into what is your life purpose. And I think the more of us that can fulfill that, the more of us that can know what it is, and also have these other quadrants filled out so that we have a pathway, the more we will have a road, perhaps even a road map to get to where we want to go. And that, I think, is crucial, because I think a lot of us have dreams and goals, but we don't have a practical way of figuring out how to get from where we are to where we want to go. And here's the insidious thing. Then we get down on ourselves. We self-flagellate for not having gotten there yet. And it's like being 60 miles into a 100-mile journey and beating yourself up for not having gotten there yet, right? That doesn't make any sense when you look at it that way. It's just you're not there, right? But if you have the roadmap, like what we're doing right now, and through this you will get the roadmap through this deep dive, you're going to be able to determine and also figure out the steps to take to live your life purpose. I'd love to hear from you, by the way. If you are going through this and you have questions, drop me a line and let me know. Comment, DM. I'd love to hear from you about what your life purpose is, if you know it, and if not, what your experience is of what we're doing here, because this deep dive is meant to help you find it. Because one of my life purposes, one of my life missions, if you will, is to help other people find theirs, their life purpose. So if I can find your life purpose with you, if I can guide you in any way, that will thrill me, chill me, and fulfill me. Until tomorrow, this is Isolde Trachtenberg, and I send you all of my love.